Hey, what is going on guys? Welcome back to another PS3 tutorial. So it looks like Sony has released the annual system update for the PS3, bringing the firmware version up to 4.91. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to fully jailbreak the PS3 with custom firmware on 4.91 or lower. Now, before we get started, it's important to mention that there's two ways to jailbreak your PS3. You can either use custom firmware or you can use PS3 Hen. Custom firmware is the full untethered jailbreak. So if you can install custom firmware on your PS3, that's the one to go for. So unfortunately, not all PS3 models are compatible with custom firmware. So fat model PS3s can install custom firmware. So you're good to follow this video if you have a fat model PS3. If you have a PS3 Slim, the early model PS3 Slims are custom firmware compatible, but the later PS3 Slim models are not. I will be showing you in just a minute how you can check to see if your PS3 Slim is compatible. And of course, Super Slims are not compatible with custom firmware. So if you have a Super Slim, unfortunately, you'll have to look at the PS3 Hen method instead. PS3 Hen works on all PS3 models. It's a tethered jailbreak, so not quite as good as custom firmware. However, it does give you access to most of the functionality that you get with full custom firmware anyway, so it's definitely a great option, and I will have a guide coming for 4.91 PS3 Hen very soon. So with that all out of the way, let's go ahead and check out how we can actually get custom firmware installed on our PS3 here. So we're going to head into the settings and we're going to scroll down to system settings, and then we're going to go to automatic updates and make sure this is turned off. We're then going to scroll down to the bottom and go down to system information. Select that option and check your firmware version. So you can see I'm on version 4.91. So the toolset that we use to actually jailbreak the PS3, I believe works from 4.75 all the way up to 4.91. So any firmware within that range, you can follow this video for. And if you're on any older firmwares than 4.75, you can just update to the official 4.91 firmware like I'm on, and then follow the video along from there. Okay, so what we want to do now is head on over to our network settings and run the internet browser. So press X on that and let that load up. And then once that loads, we're going to press the start button on our controller and we're going to go over to the website, which is going to be PS3 Toolset. So ps3toolset.com. Now, if this website ever changes in the future, check the pinned comment down below and it will give you the new site, but hopefully this will remain the main website for, a long time to come. So we're going to go ahead and press start on that to head to that website. And here we go. We are on the PS3 toolset. Now you're just going to wait for this to load. It may not load successfully the first time, so don't worry too much about that right now. Even if it fails, that's fine at this stage. Okay, there we go. In this case, it said it was successful, so we can click OK to that right here. Now, we're not actually prepared to use this right now. We're just going on this website so we can add it to our bookmarks. So we're going to press the select button on our controller and add this page to our bookmarks. Now, what we want to do is clear the browser as much as possible to make it run as lightweight as we can, which will allow this to have more of a chance of success, less chance of running into errors. So to do this, we're going to press triangle and we're going to head to tools, and then we're going to select delete cookies with X and say yes, and then press triangle again, go to tools, go down to delete the search history and say yes. Again, triangle, tools, we'll go down to delete the cache this time and say yes, and then again, triangle, tools, we'll go down and delete the authentication information. Select X on yes for that as well. Then we're going to press triangle and go to tools. We're going to go to home page. We're going to select use a blank page with X and then go down and press X on OK. And then at that point, we can press circle to exit the browser. And then we're going to press X to launch the browser again. And then from here, we're going to press our select button and go to our bookmarked page. And now we're basically running the toolset as lightweight as possible. So hopefully it will load successfully this time if it did not load successfully the first time we went on this website. Again, if you do still run into any errors during this initialization process, you'll just have to restart your PS3, go back on the web page, do the same thing again, go back on here and let it load again. It may fail the first time, but eventually it should work. Okay, there you go. Perfect example. As you can see in this particular case, it has failed to initialize. So I'm going to restart my PS3 and then hop back on here and try and load this again. Okay, here we go. Second time lucky. See how we do here. This whole process does take a little while here. Yep, there we go. So in this case, it was successful here. You've got all the donation QR codes to the developers. Definitely support them if you would like. So we can go ahead and click OK there. And here we are. So what we want to do is head on over to our system manager right here. Once you have this loaded successfully, so we'll select System Manager with X. Now, if you have a PS3 Slim, this is what you're looking for here. Custom firmware compatible PS3 with the green tick. If you get that green tick, that means your PS3 Slim is compatible with custom firmware. If you don't get the green tick, unfortunately, your PS3 Slim is on too high of a model. It's not compatible with custom firmware, and you'll have to look at my PS3 Hen guide instead, which will show you how to use a alternative jailbreak essentially to get Homebrew running on your PS3. But if you have the green tick, then that means you are good to go for installing custom firmware. So at this point, what we want to do is back up our flash to our USB drive. So we need to get our USB drive all prepared on our computer. So there's quite a few things that you're going to want to download on the computer. You want to download Rufus, which is a utility that we can use to format our USB drive. So we're just going to download this. We also want to download an MD5 checker right here. We also want PS3 tools. Specifically, we want the PS3 checker package, which you can download right here. Just click this option and then click the button here to download the file. All of this will be linked in the video description, so you can easily download it. And then we also want the custom firmware. So we've got 4.91 custom firmware from EvilNat on PSX Place. So we're just going to go ahead and download this. So if we scroll down here, we've got the different custom firmwares. Now, generally, you're probably going to want to just download the top one, which is the PEX and CEX version. There are other versions available. Generally, I would say that for most people, the top one will be fine. These other firmwares are not available yet, but they will be soon. You've got a no Blu-ray drive version, so that if you have a broken Blu-ray drive, you can download that version and get the update installed. There's also one for no Bluetooth module as well. So if you have a broken Blu-ray drive or broken Bluetooth module, once these firmwares become available, you'll be able to download those versions and get the custom firmware installed on your PS3. So once you got all that stuff downloaded, as you can see here, first thing we're going to do is format our USB drive. So plug in your USB drive into your computer. We're then going to run Rufus here. And if your USB drive does not appear in the list, tick the box to list USB hard drives, and then your drive should appear in this list. We want to change the boot selection to non-bootable, and we want to change the partition scheme to MBR. And we also want the file system to be set to either FAT32 or large FAT32. Either one will work, whichever option you have. And then we're going to click Start to format our USB drive. Obviously, make sure you back up any data that was on the drive before reformatting it, because this will erase the drive. So we're going to click OK and let that format. And there we go, that's done. We can close, and then we should be good to go there. So what we want to do now is go into our USB drive right here, and we can delete these files that are created in the USB. Then we're going to open up our RAR file for our custom firmware from EvilNat. You'll need to use a program like WinRAR or 7-zip in order to open this. And then if we open this up, you can see we've got a bunch of files in here. We've got this PS3 folder that you want to copy out to the root of your USB drive. So copy that PS3 folder out to the root of the drive. So we've got PS3 and then the update folder, and then we've got the update file inside, and it must be named PS3 updat.pup. You can also go to View, Show, and make sure that file name extensions is ticked so that you can see the file extension and you can see if the name is correct. So all of this needs to be correct. You need the PS3 folder, the update folder inside that, and then the update file inside the update folder. They all need to be in uppercase characters, and the update file needs to be called PS3 updat.pup. Otherwise, the PS3 will not detect the update file. So all of that needs to be correct. If your custom firmware did not include these folders, you'll need to create them yourself. Okay, so last but not least, we need to verify the file hash of the update file to make sure that we're not installing a corrupted update. So we're going to open up our MD5 checker that we downloaded. So we're going to open this up here. And we're going to drag the update file into MD5 checker. If you can't drag and drop, you can click this button here to add it manually. And if we double click the file, we'll get the file hash up here. What we want to do is from the EvilNat custom firmware, we've actually got the MD5 hash included here in this text file. So if I open up this text file and copy this hash should match the one for the file. So we'll paste it in underneath. And if it says it's the same, that means we do have a good file. It's not being corrupted. So we should be safe to install this on the PS3. However, there are a few steps that we need to do first before we can actually install a custom firmware on our PS3. So what we want to do now is unplug our USB drive and plug it into our PS3. And you'll want to be plugging that into the rightmost USB port if it's available on your PS3, which is the top USB port if you have the PS3 vertical. You can plug it into another USB port on the PS3, but the rightmost USB port is the recommended USB port to use. So if you have that one available, plug it into that one. Okay, so once you have the USB drive plugged back into our PS3, what we're going to do is select the option here for flash memory. So if we press X on flash memory, we'll have an option here to save flash memory backup. We're going to press X on that. And then we're going to select the USB drive. So dev_USB, USB 000, I believe is the rightmost USB port. So whatever USB you have it plugged into, select that option there and then click save. And that's going to dump our flash to the USB drive. This is a step that you really should do, despite what maybe other videos might tell you that this is not necessary. This is definitely an important step, because if we get some kind of error while trying to write the flash, then your PS3 could be bricked unless you have a backup. So it's very important to make a backup of your flash before you end up writing the flash. So once we've done this, we can click close. Once it was done successfully, it says it's completed. And now we'll plug that USB drive back into our computer to verify that we have a good backup of our flash. Okay, so back on the computer, you can see we have this dump.bin, which is our flash backup. So we're going to copy that over to our desktop here on our computer. And we need to verify to make sure this is a good backup of our flash. We can do that using the PS3 checker tool that we downloaded before. So I'm going to create a new folder called PS3 checker. In fact, I'll just do one word, no spaces, just in case it has a problem with that. And then we'll open up this zip file for PS3 checker, standalone version, and copy all of the files, extract all of the files from that zip into the folder that we just created. Then we're going to open this folder. Now this does require Python in order for this to work, so you need to have Python installed on your computer. You can grab it real quick from the Microsoft Store if you have Windows 10 or above. You can go to Python version 3.11 is the version I would recommend. Just click the button to get Python and that will get and install it onto your computer. And there you go, you can see it's now installed. So with Python now installed, all we need to do is drag and drop our dump file on top of this drag and drop your dump here.bat file. So if we take our dump file here and we just drag it on top of this and let go, this will run the script as you can see here. And what you're looking for is this checks completed at the end where it says number of dangers 0 and number of warnings 0. That means you have a good backup of your flash. So if you got a warning, depending on what the warning is, it might not be a problem. But if you have a few warnings, that should be a sign of concern, and you might want to dump your flash again to try and get a better dump. Make sure you have no dangers though. Any dangers, that means you have a bad dump of your flash, and you're going to want to, reboot your PS3, maybe reinstall the firmware, the regular firmware, and then take another dump until it eventually comes out with 0 dangers. And then you're safe to write your flash once you have 0 dangers, because that means you've got a good backup of your flash. So 0 dangers, 0 warnings is perfect. We've got no issues with this backup, so we are all set. So the window will be closed. Do you want to output the log file? I'll just say N for no, and then we should be good. I guess it put a log file anyway, but there you go. As you can see, we've got a good backup of our flash. So all you want to do is keep this backup somewhere safe on your computer so that if anything goes wrong with your PS3 in future, you'll have a backup of your flash that you can use to fix it. So what we want to do now is plug our USB drive back into the same port on our PS3, and we'll get to writing our flash. Okay, so now what we want to do is head down to Flash Memory Patch and press X on that. And we want to load patch via HTTP. Select that option there and let it do its thing. So it has now been downloaded, so we can close out of this. Okay, and then we want to go back to Flash Memory Patch again, press X on it, and we should now have an option at the bottom called Apply Loaded Patch. So press X on that, and that's going to actually write our flash. So this is where we get our warning telling us that it can brick your console, should never be done casually. There's no way to pause or cancel the operation beyond this confirmation dialog. Are you sure you want to continue? So this is the no turning back point of the operation. So because we have a backup of our flash, it should be safe enough for me to proceed. So I'm going to say yes. And here it goes. Okay, so at this point, it's now going to write the flash to our NOR or NAND chip. So we're just going to have to wait and fingers crossed that this all goes successfully. Okay, there we go. Done successfully. Patch applied successfully. That's what you want to see. It says done, so we are good. We can close out of this. Okay, so that patch has now been applied, but it will not be active until we reboot our PS3. So we need to press circle to exit out of the browser now. We've done everything that we need to do with the PS3 toolset. So all we need to do now is turn off our PS3 and turn it back on again. Okay, here we go. We're loading up our PS3 again. And now it should be patched to allow us to install our custom firmware. So now what we can do is we can head over to our settings, make sure the USB drive with the update file is still on there, still plugged into our PS3. We're then going to go to System Update, Update via Storage Media. And if everything was successful, we should get this here. The following update data was found, 4.91 Evil NAT. That is our custom firmware. We're going to click OK to that with X and let it install this custom firmware. So we'll go through the user agreement, accept and start. And we are now installing custom firmware on our PS3. Now, if you get any problems while trying to install this update using this method, any errors, then bear with me because I will show you another way to install the system update that can be more reliable. So just bear with me here, but in this case, it looks like we're going to be able to install this update no problem. Okay, here we go. So once you see that Evil NAT logo right there during the boot up sequence, that shows that you are indeed running custom firmware. Okay, so in my case, of course, the custom firmware installed just fine here. However, if you did run into any errors while trying to install that, you can use safe mode to install the update instead, which tends to be a more reliable method of installing the system update. So to do this, all you need to do is turn off your PS3 and then hold down the power button until it beeps twice in rapid succession like this. So once you hear that, that means it's booting into safe mode. It may just turn the PS3 off when you do this for the first time. So just repeat the process until you hear that double beep and then it boots you into safe mode. It will then ask you to plug in your PS3 controller with the charge cable to the PS3 and then press the PS button. From there, you can then scroll down to option number 6 with the D-pad, which will take you to update the system software. Press X on that. You'll then be asked to press the start and select buttons down at the same time, and then it will search for the update. And then you just want to go through the general prompt to actually install the system update. It will check for the update, then prepare for the update. Then it will ask you, I think, to press the PS button to start it. And again, you'll also run into the terms of use stuff that you have to accept. So this is just a more reliable way of installing the system update. You only need to do this if you're not able to install the system update using the previous method from the home menu. And you'll see if we head into the game section, we've got PlayStation 3 and our package manager is here for installing package files. And this is, of course, a untethered jailbreak, meaning that every time we reboot the PS3 will be jailbroken automatically and we have access to our package manager to install our Homebrew applications. So let's just do a quick test and install some Homebrew on our PS3. Okay, so if we switch back over to our computer, we've got store.brewology.com is the website you want to go to grab your Homebrew applications for the PS3. Let's say Multiman, one of the most popular Homebrew managers for the PS3 here. We'll select this. You can see it says it supports 4.91, Kex, Dex, Pex, and all other kinds, including Hen, is all supported. So you would just download on custom firmware the base version. There is a separate version for Hen, so we're not using Hen, we're using custom firmware in this case, so we would download the base version. So I've gone ahead and downloaded Multiman here. Here's the package file. And all you need to do is copy that to the root of a USB drive. So I'll just copy it to the same USB drive that I was using before. And then from there, we can eject that USB and plug it back into our PS3. And from here, we can go to the package manager and install package files, select standard from our USB drive. And there is our multi-man package file here on our USB. We can press X to install it. And that will get that Homebrew app installed. And that's generally just how you install Homebrew apps right there. And we now have multi-man that we can run with X. Okay, here we go. Multi-man is loading up on our PS3 with custom firmware. And there we go. We have a Homebrew application running here on our PS3. How about that? So that is how you get your PS3 fully jailbroken with custom firmware on the latest firmware 4.91 or lower. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. And of course, if you have a PS3 Super Slim or a Slim model that wasn't able to install this custom firmware, you do have the option to install PS3 Hen instead, which gives you a lot of the same functionality. You can still run Homebrew with PS3 Hen. So definitely recommended to check that out. If you have an incompatible PS3 with custom firmware, you can install PS3 Hen instead and still basically jailbreak your PS3. So I have a tutorial for that, which I'll leave down in the video description. But anyway, that's going to be it for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And once again, I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video.